well. That forfeit from April Ross and Alex Kleiman has done Switzerland a favour, but they have to take full advantage of it. They have never beaten the Canadians, and this, their 5th head-to-head. It's a good start for Vergé-Dépré. Second time they've met each other actually in Olsztyn. Humana Paradise and Pavan that won 2-1 back in 2017. A lot's happened in the world since 2017, that's for sure. Sarah Pavan, the target from the right side. You have to say that this has been a pair in the making for Switzerland since 2016 to try and peak at the Olympics in Tokyo. The Olympics obviously postponed for a year, and Vergé-Dépré with the hammer cross court. That's a good transition. That's why she's playing in the defense position nowadays. It's because when she does make a dig, she's physical enough to put the ball away, and her defensive skills under Florian Kohl, the head coach of this Swiss pair, has been, well, it's been really evident. They were brought together actually in 2017. Good balance in the sand, using a knee to settle herself to make the dig, and that's Melissa Humana Paradise beaten. That's fascinating for Canada. This time the back set off the hand, trying to move the block of Heidrich. It's a good tactic for any team in a game that's growing in physicality, to move the blocker and test their hands to see if they're penetrating. Good move from Humana Paradise, who, well, they finished 4th in the World Championships in Vienna in 2017, but they won the gold medal in Hamburg in 2019 underneath the leadership of Scott Davenport. They've been really one of the fortunate teams, and you say fortunate, they've absolutely worked for it. There's the ace shown again, Heidrich beaten. But because they won the World Championships, they knew in 2019 they were going to the Olympic Games, so it's meant that they can work on a few things to improve them towards the games. That's a break from Pavan, taken full advantage of from Vergé-Dépré. Pavan's saying, okay, the pass is off the net, that ball's not going to come back with any venom. Vergé-Dépré proves her wrong. Heidrich serving. Out of system, fast passing, Heidrich wins the battle. Someone's looking for a net touch here. Heidrich says that's not me. So the point goes their way. Switzerland off to a dream start here, in a week that's been brilliant for Sarah Sponsor and Kelly Clays. They're going to the Final Four for the 2nd week in succession. They won in Sochi last week to go in front of Kerry Walsh-Jennings and Brooke Sweat. It was all down to the results this week, and actually Katja Stam and Risa Schun from the Netherlands knocked out the greatest of all time, Kerry Walsh-Jennings, in the qualifier, and that meant that Team Clays and Sponsor could, for once, play without pressure in this competition. They play Brazil next for the place in the finals. And Risa Schun and Katja Stam, definitely a team to watch for the future. They've Agatha Duda beaten, Kerry Walsh-Jennings beaten, and went very close with Pavan and Melissa Humana Paradise as well. Good from Pavan. And as soon as the ball's tight to the net, Pavan's going to come into her own here, so she's penetrating through. Heidrich's going to take her on because she has to do so much work to get stable. Pavan does, well, superbly well there. And here is the spin serve of Sarah Pavan. You can see why they're working on it. The game is about serving aces, that's for sure, but it's also about getting teams hitting off the net because they have less angles. And that's what Pavan does there to Switzerland, but Switzerland do a good job of working through the rally, putting bits of pressure on the opposition, and then going over the top of Sarah Pavan. From the right side, Pavan shows cross, hits line. Nice play from Pavan, showing an extreme of one way before working it back the other. Looking at, well, Canada have won 12 World Tour gold medals in the history of the FIVB Beach Volleyball World Tour. Switzerland have won 9, and 9 is actually good enough for 4th place. Brazil, 173. The United States, 123. But you can see a slight changing of the guard in both sides of the game, and that's Heidrich hammering. Good positioning from Vergé-Dépré in the power line of Pavan, but the set from Heidrich is slightly too tight. And that big lead built early on in this set from Heidrich and Vergé-Dépré starting to narrow on down now. Good run this from Sarah Pavan with this new jump serve. Good stable passing. Sets a little bit wide from Vergé-Dépré, almost 2 up there. It's Vergé-Dépré who commits, but fortunately the damage was done earlier on in the rally for Switzerland. They're always playing second fiddle after this play here. Heidrich goes back to play defense for a change, but it's a good run this from Canada. Well, Agatha and Dudo won this event in 2019. Hermanova and Slakova the year before. No representation from them in the Final Four, but in the men's Final Four, Pulisic and Schreiner are there for a 3rd consecutive year. They really do pay their best. Oh, talking of playing their best, good lines from Sarah Pavan. Play profession or beach volleyball, but also indoors as well in Brazil. Good line on Vergé-Dépré. No real angles available for the Swiss defender, whose sister also played in this event. Where both Pavan and Melissa Humana-Parades's parents were volleyball coaches. Vergé-Dépré and Heidrich's siblings also play on the World Tour. And Nick's sister Zoe, but also Joanna's brother Adrian Heidrich. Good blocking, good reactions also. Jumbo knock-all from Humana-Paredes. One of the plays of the day so far. The reactions from Pavan. Puts the ball in the slot, always deep on the Swiss pairing. Second Final Four for Switzerland in consecutive weeks. Last week, finalists Tanja Hübeli and Nina Betschart losing to Team Slays in the final. Plays and Sponsor. It's high-class siding out that from Heidrich, whipping that one back across her body. Gets put to the floor on the service reception. Makes it difficult to find rhythm, but there's no digging that one. But the Swiss form for 2 teams, well, they're growing really nicely towards the Olympic Games. Christoph Diekmann, Florian Kohl, 2 of the coaches on the women's side of the programme in Switzerland. Diekmann delighted with the performance of Hübeli Betschart last week, and sure that they will be delighted to have another Swiss representation in another Final Four here this week. 10-9 Canada, a couple away from the technical, and good game of chess from Heidrich, because from that position last time we saw her rip that ball back across the body, and from the same position here she chips high line. Humana-Paredes having to play a little bit of guesswork back there. Monster block from Heidrich. Just turns the game around to the technical. Wider set, jumping into the angle. Heidrich is a great read because the ball's so wide, and so is the approach line of Pavan. There's only really one way that ball's going. Switzerland playing well here. There's confirmation of the score. It's a 1-point game of two of the most physical teams on the World Tour. Remember, Alex Klein and April Ross having to withdraw from this competition due to a leg injury to April Ross. We just hope that she gets well soon. Just a precaution towards the Olympic Games. A 9th for Agatha and Duda this week. That's not their best performance, having won this tournament before. This time the cross line from Sarah Pavan. Good work once again. There's a semi-final spot for Carol Salgado and Barbara Sek. That's two very experienced and most legendary players within this game from Brazil. Up against the USA. Next up on this show court, Juana Paredes. Chilean descent. Father coached at the Olympic Games in '96. Going back to the line is Heidrich again, who's showed really good composure within her side out with different options. She goes with a high line again, but the approach line on her attack there is slightly different. This game is about puzzle solving, not just passing and setting. Pavan, Melissa, Juana Paredes back to 12-12. They weren't even going to go to Doha, the 4-star at the start of the season, because they felt unready, and they took a second there anyway. But now they certainly should be feeling in rhythm and in form as well. In Cancun, they're talking about still having so many more levels to go. The 17th last week wouldn't have been ideal, but as you can see, they're starting to run some wider offenses. They're starting to use some spin serves as well. So maybe it's just a calm before a big storm from Canada. One thing they seem to do within this game is peak at the big occasion. They've won, well, in Porridge, they've won in Vienna, they've won the World Championships, they've won all the big events. All that's lacking is the Olympic gold medal, really, but that's missing for a few. Oh, into the angle, Pavan this time. Everything was so rotated into the cross court from Vergé-Dépré. It looked as if the set might have dropped a little bit inside as well. When the set drops inside, the only place you're going is angle. Big serve. Good reactions as well. Coming in a bit straighter, turning back to the angle this time. Vergé-Dépré. Change of ends, 14 all. Good game, this one. The first European champions from Switzerland since 2004 up against the first ever Canadian world champions. And a Heidrich. No one line is the call, but the hammer back angle is waited for by Vergé-Dépré, and that's a big transition play at a very, very key time because Switzerland have got a break here. Game is slightly back into their favour. Passing good zones. Two ball is well in the game on that angle. Sarah Pavan is sure that's in. Switzerland thought that was out. It looks as if Switzerland may have got the point here. Joanna Heidrich is wagging her finger as well. We're going to get a better look at that one because we have to. Two ball was completely in play because of the angle of the pass. We can't see the baseline there, so it's almost impossible. And Vergé-Dépré, well, she's celebrating. That tells you pretty much everything you need to know. Switzerland, 2 breaks in a row. Mean a 2-point lead at crunch time. Pavan back to the angle, hanging in the air, showing the line, and then changing the course of the ball very late with speed of the wrist. That's why Vergé-Dépré sits around a little bit more on the line because she sees that turn from Pavan. Pavan with this new spin serve. It's been effective, but Switzerland at lead all the same. Cut shot seen. Massive opportunity here. Juana Paredes gets one back. It's another break. This time, though, for Canada. took a 5th at the Rio Olympics, Sarah Pavan, with Heather Bansley. Canada will have 2 teams at the Olympics once more. They were still coached by Scott Davenport, who stayed with Pavan and Melissa Humana-Paredes. This time it's smart decision-making from the Swiss pairing, because they know that Pavan has 8 meters to run in to try and fix her line within the block. So they choose to test her and see if her hands are pressing. Pavan is getting a lot of ball here. She's having to spin serve, she's having to block, and she's having to side out. Very much like Anders Moll in the men's side of the game earlier on. And that was, well, it's a lot of work for one player to do. Almost freezes out the defender, but one thing in this game is you cannot keep Melissa Humana-Paredes quiet for very long, but this time it's Anouk Vergé-Dépré celebrating. Heidrich hitting from way downtown. And that means Vergé-Dépré gets into the net. She knows that position so well. She's played there many a year. And there's a timeout from the world champions, because they need to sit down, they need a rest, they need to problem solve and decision make. Switzerland have been very good, haven't they? There are not many World Tour venues as unique and as stunning as this one. Small population in Ostrava, but the World Tour has found quite the home here. First event in Ostrava 2018. Sitting in the pocket. Really good positioning from Anouk Vergé-Dépré. It's the work you do off the ball defensively that helps you when you do get to playing the ball. And she just sits inside. She's reading the spiking of Sarah Pavan in a really good spot. 1916 now. Well, Switzerland may have got their place in the Final Four due to a forfeit, but they're certainly earning their lead here in the semi-final. Sarah Pavan, desperate for a side out, takes one. It's away from the body. It's because the pass is so good. When you pass well in this game, you have more options at the net to be able to pick your shot away from your body. It's a guessing game in the end for Vergé-Dépré. Good recovery setting, but the options are limited, and Humana-Paredes, she's stopped. Get up is the call, and there's a big tangle. There's a net touch somewhere against Switzerland, and they're unsure where that's come from. Hopefully everyone's okay. Let's have a better look at it this time. See too much of a net touch, but the head of Vergé-Dépré. Watch out. Dangerous game, this beach volleyball. Helmets on for Vergé-Dépré. Let's hope she's okay. That was a nasty blow. No wonder they've taken a timeout. Support staff are there for a reason. Well, the progress of Swiss beach volleyball has been certain over the past 10 years or so. Neither country so well known for indoor volleyball. Sarah Pavan was certainly the star player for Canada for a long time before choosing to commit to beach full-time over the past couple of years. Within her partnership with Heather Bansley, she did play indoors and beach at the same time, but had to make that commitment to the sport to win the World Championships. Anyway, no love, or nothing but love for Vergé-Dépré and Joanna Heidrich. Seems as if Vergé-Dépré is absolutely fine. 1 point game at the business time of this final four. Winner plays USA-Brazil. Big point this one. Oh, and it's gone wide of the mark. Humana Paredes tries to hit maybe the toughest shot, but it's open, and it's open for a reason. It's very difficult from that position to chop the ball back cross-court. One goes astray. Wide set for Pavan. Chop back. That's not the first time we've seen Heidrich all over that wide play. 2 mistakes in a row from Melissa Humana Paredes. Absolutely not. Switzerland looking to make their second final in consecutive weeks with different teams. Sarah Pavan serving to keep Canada in this opener. High off the hands. Anouk Vergé-Dépré compliments Heidrich on her setting. Goes off the hands of one of the World Tour's biggest blocker. And it's Switzerland that take the opener here in Ostrava. 21-19. What a performance from Joanna Heidrich. Anouk Vergé-Dépré. Well, Pavan and Melissa, the world champions, have it all to do in the second against the European champions from Switzerland. Well, some statistics from the opener. More blocks from Pavan, but more attacks. And less errors from Switzerland. They're the key factors in this one, although there's not much between them, is there? 2 points in the opener. The second set to get underway, then Melissa Humana Paredes to serve. It's a flat, potent serve. Heidrich now the target. Not many angles available, but apologies from Heidrich as she hammers one to the line. Switzerland, who won in Moscow in 2019. It was at the Luzhniki Stadium, another iconic venue for the World Tour. It's fantastic performance for them, but it is Canada who have a knack of winning on the big occasion when it comes to the really big events. Trying to go bump on two. Vergé-Dépré, Sarah Pavan. Both Canadian players have said that it's easy to pick them as favourites for the Olympic Games in Tokyo because they are the world champions. That's Heidrich hammering that seam again. Good spot from Heidrich. Is a really, really efficient swing. 7 from 11 for her. Efficiency of 64%. But the Canadians have both said that there's so many teams in the top 10 or 15 in the world that can challenge for that Olympic spot. And you have to agree. You think Taliqua Clancy, Maria Feil-Tacho won in Cancun. Clays and Sponsor won last week in Sochi, and well, 2 different Brazilian teams won in consecutive weeks in Cancun as well. So there's a different winner every week on this tour. Kleinman Ross. In 2019, there was 10 different winners of 14 events. Twice the Canadians won, and they're both big occasions. It's looking like the same on the men's side of things now as well, because the Beach Volley Vikings, well, they looked unstoppable in Cancun. They were unstoppable. They didn't lose a game, but they lost 3 matches in 3 weeks. High line this time from Vergé-Dépré. Once again, their tactics clear. It's to move Sarah Pavan across the front of the net. Chip over her, chip off her, try and tall her, and make her less efficient. Switzerland are doing really well. Pavan. Sweep is on. Off the nets. There's no block, but it's a fantastic swing. Heidrich and Vergé-Dépré, they're forced to be reckoned with right now. No matter what Pavan does, they go on it all the time. Testing, 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 and they're winning because of it, that's for sure. If she stays up, they go around her. If she breaks off, they try and go past her. Timeout for Canada. It's a very early one as well. Vergé-Dépré. Good timeout. How many times in beach volleyball do we see teams have a little run of things and then miss the serve following the timeout called by the opposition? It's a big rivalry between Pavan, Melissa Humana-Paradis, April Ross and Alex Kleiman. As we were just talking about, this women's game is far bigger than those two teams. It is so open. We mentioned the Australians just a moment ago. They won in Cancun. They're not here in Europe this week because of the problems with them being so COVID safe. It's a fantastic thing, but also causes some issues when traveling in and out of international sports. So they're practicing, ready to rejoin the tour in Stade. That's chipped back to the line from Sarah Pavan. Humana-Paradis. Pass is a little bit straight, but a good location to keep vision high and rhythm, but not about the side-out player. So Vergé-Dépré, who gets him once again, a defender turned blocker who's doing real damaging things in the blocking compartment of this one as well. Well read from Vergé-Dépré. It's one thing making the read, but that's a tough ball to get your line on from a blocking perspective as well. 3 points becomes 4, and this would be a fantastic scalp if Switzerland could make it. Straight down the middle this time. And when things are not going your way in beach volleyball, it's maybe one of the best serves you can put on the opposition. Communication, already a struggle. Good turn from Humana-Paradis. Really is a good turn. Slightly off the net, opens up a few more areas into the court. Once again, Switzerland looking for the hands of Pavan. In every area of this game, they're just trying to go off the hands, trying to stay high. Watching a jump serve. Deliberate tactic that's working very, very well. Best blocker 3 times on the World Tour. Sarah Pavan, don't forget. 4-time All-American at Nebraska as well. Very famous volleyballing college, to say the least. But has only ever won on the World Tour, Sarah Pavan, with Melissa Humana-Paradis. And already had a better career together than Bansley, or when Pavan was with Bansley. But they were such a strong team on the World Tour as well. Pavan this time goes away from the body, from a very, very high area as well. Great setting from Humana-Paradis to get that ball right back in the slot to give access all areas to Pavan on the angle. Mana Paradise. Goes the call. Heidrich passing way off. You have to be careful here, Switzerland, because quick lapse of concentration can be very, very costly. Scott Davenport saying that they're using these events before the Olympics as a measuring stick to see how they're getting on in terms of the opposition, and you can 100% see the benefit for Canada of having almost a luxury that they've already qualified to the games. That's big from Pavan again. Good run this from Canada. Timeout from Switzerland, rightfully so, just to try and kill the momentum of the world champions and burst their bubble. You'd have to say, if Switzerland made 2 finals in 2 weeks with 2 different pairs, promising. Lovely shot of Ostrava. A great game of beach volleyball. The winner of this will go into tomorrow's final. The loser will be playing for bronze. Melissa Humana Paredes, best defensive player on the AVP 2019. And newcomer as well. Remember, Canadian pairs playing on the AVP. Good spot once more from Heidrich. Starting to enjoy herself. Good timeout from Switzerland because, again, she's passed off the net, but this is the bonus of being so physical on the World Tour. You can still get yourself out of trouble. That's one of the major benefits of having size and physicality, is the fact that you can still have angles that smaller players can't when you pass poorly. 9-10 is... Pavan, again, shows a lot of angle and baits the blocker into it. Short play. Heidrich from the right side. Back on the angle. Humana Paredes. Great decision from the defender. Off the net. Is completely aware that Heidrich is breaking. So the question she asks her is, can you get back? And can you stay stable enough to dig the ball? The answer is no. Good pace. Pavan misses the spin, so we go to the technical timeout. Switzerland lead by 1. Well, only one more competition left before the Olympics in terms of the FIVB Beach Volleyball World Tour. It started at the beginning of July, where these players will be next. It's been 2 on the bounce with Sochi last week, Ostrava this week, so a short rest to get back on the training court. But the last 5 or 6 weeks have been phenomenal for these players to have the opportunity to play in the bubble in Cancun. 3 competitions back to back. It was all about Project Olympic Games to get enough qualification events in succession so the teams could be confirmed here in Ostrava. Fitting place for the final qualification. If you just joined us, it's Canada versus Switzerland in the semi-final of the women's competition. The winner will play the winner of Brazil and the USA, and that's coming up after this one. Great leave from Pavan. Miss serve, 2 on the bounce here in Ostrava. Just the 2 wins for this pairing. That one in Moscow at the Lizhniki. Oh, cross line. It's a tough swing to hit a cross line. Goes out the back. One more for Switzerland as they edge closer to 21. Humana Paredes from the center, chips away. Good spot from Vergé-Dépré. Has fantastic reactions. Everything going the way of Switzerland here. Look at the reactions. A little bit of skill, a little bit of guts, and a lot of glory as well. A little bit of luck here too, as Pavan can't convert the overpass. Unreal. Switzerland looking good here. 3 points to the good. From the center this time, Humana Paredes. Again, using the angles of the game, bringing the blocker into the middle, setting off the net so they want to break, and then beating her for speed deep. It's fantastic attention to detail from Canada. It really is. But attention to detail matched by physicality from Canada. From Switzerland, sorry, beating the outside hand of Pavan's block. Well, Switzerland won that European Championships in Jurmala, beating Kim Behrens and Sinja Tillman in the final, but they also came past Ludwig and Kozak in what was a real entertaining quarterfinal. They know they can mix it with the best in the world. They know that they have a real chance of making a top 5 or a medal round in Tokyo. It's just whether they can keep consistency, and there's one back for Canada towards a change of ends. Well, Canada have it all to do. They've been chasing this game from start to finish, but the world champions certainly won't give up here. Knuckleback line once more. And Vergé-Dépré is so smart in the way that she can kick out, show the cross-court angle before just knuckling it over the top of the block. Once again, they're choosing to test Pavan every single time. Offer, short over the top of it. Just keeping the pressure on. They're 5 away now, Switzerland, from what would be a fantastic victory. There's another hitting error. They know they're close. Remember, they've never beaten this Canadian team. And wow, a few hitting errors have popped their head up here for Canada. Humana Paredes. This time, oh, there's a late move in the block defense from Switzerland. It's another opportunity for them. Very tight this time. The block will be in the game, but no, good cover. And finally, Humana Paredes puts one on the sand. Pavan, you think with the spin serve once again. Can she get this firing? There's a good start, Sarah Pavan. It's a new weapon in the game of Canada. And it will be for times like this. Splitting the seam, nobody wanting a slice of that one. She needs more though. One will not be enough for Pavan. Oh, and that one goes into the net. And that's maybe just a sign of where Canada are here in their building of this skill. It might not be the finished article, but they still have another 2 or 3 competitions left to test it. And that's the bonus of knowing you're going to the Olympic Games as a world champion. Good stability in the pass. Diving into the angle, Heidrich. My word, what a play that is. A huge play at a very crucial time, showing the angle and then taking it away with the hands late. Heidrich. This time it's slightly off the net. Heidrich decides to break. This time turned back on the cut shot. It's a good one. 3 points to the difference. It's very much advantage Switzerland here against the world champions. If you think that they've had a tough time, this Swiss pairing, in terms of quarantining and having to spend time in the hotel room at events, this would really give them confidence towards the Olympics that they could go all the way to the medal rounds. Beating the world champions at this stage is huge for confidence. Heidrich on the turn is the call. There's a net touch somewhere. It's against Sarah Pavan. And now it's match point to Switzerland. Well, serving for the match, it's Anouk Vergé-Dépré. First one saved from Humana Paredes. Looks as if Sarah Pavan is back to serve once more, and she is back to serve. Interesting to see if she goes to spin serve. It's exactly the reason why she's been training it. Pavan will go for the spin serve and goes with an ace. Sarah Pavan. 2 aces in quick succession from Pavan, showing it's working. Ripping it straight through the seam again. Perfect. Well, well, well. Is there another twist in this tale? No. It's unfortunate for Sarah Pavan, but it's delight for Switzerland. They go through to the gold medal match tomorrow to play either the USA or Brazil. The European champions have beaten the world champions here, and it's the first time they've beaten them in 5 attempts. A real big boost of confidence at a very key time for Anouk Vergé-Dépré and Joanna